back in session. Item number 33.
Mayor and City Council, again, looking at the revenues, the numbers that are on there are going to need to change because we're using a different tax rate. Again, we're going to use the reserves to balance the budget, which is the bottom item that says prior year's revenue. The total budget has been presented at $9,170,574, and that's for the maintenance and operations.
What page are you looking at, sir?
It says page 1. It's the first page of a spreadsheet right after the annual operating budget fiscal year 2017-2018. And that's a quick recap of the revenue for the M&O. The debt service revenue is just the revenue that's going to cover the bond payments for the year, both the principal and interest. We've calculated from our advisor Tom Lawrence that the principal and interest for the year will be $1,769,344, and we should expect revenues a little bit in excess of that to cover it. The special revenues are just grants that we're aware of that we're looking forward to dealing with. Most of our grants, though, are reimbursement grants where we spend the money and then get reimbursed. On the expenditure side, looking at page, it says 5 and then 3 in parentheses. If we could just discuss that real briefly, and some of the highlights are that we do not have a COLA built in or cost of living adjustment for this year. We do have a buffer in there in case there's a lot of merit increases that occur during the year. We should be fine if that were to take place. The health insurance premiums that are listed there, we have a total of $964,000. That's going to be reduced. Last time we spoke, we were looking at a much higher increase than what was actually proposed by the insurance company. We're looking at 2% instead of what we included in here, and so it's gonna save us a nice little chunk of money going on the downside. For the year, if you look on page, it's going to be the back side of page 5 with 3 in parentheses. If you compare last year's revised budget to this year's proposed budget, you can see we're asking for about $600,000 more overall. I just want to briefly mention, especially to you that have not been at the budget meetings, the exciting budget meetings, I might say, we are looking to increase our service contracts a significant amount. We're looking at using a weed squad that is very specific about going out there and dealing with weeds. We're also going to engage a pothole crew that does potholes exclusively, and of course if there's something else they have to work on, they'll do that, but it's also going to require purchases of equipment.
Sounds like a rap pothole crew.
Some of the other equipment, specifically in the account that says property and equipment, we've increased from last year $160,000 for police vehicles, and we're also adding I think it's about $80,000 in other equipment, mostly for the recreation centers, a sound system and a stage and some other things, rather than renting them on a regular basis, just using that. That is basically the highlight of it. Do you have any questions that I could address? Yes, sir.
On item 05548 on events, I had this explained to me, but I still don't quite understand it. is why have we gone from 8,000 last year to 74,000 this year?
Well, what we're doing is reclassifying what we're calling an event. What most of that money used to be in support activities, and we're calling them events, and we're trying to be more consistent with what an event is. And so we're pulling the money out of the support activities and putting it in events, so that when Victor has an event, we know to take it out of there. And that's where he has his money for this upcoming fiscal year. So overall, it wasn't a big increase between those two accounts. It's just a reclassification to be consistent when we charge out monies to these, to like the 4th of July.
So you're just changing from one account to the other,
Right.
from the activities, the support activities to
To
the
events,
events.
okay.
That money was always there.
Yes.
And available for
Pretty
him
mu-
to use.
pretty much the same amount
Right.
in total, yes. Yeah. Any other questions?
I have one more.
Okay.
Let me just get to it. So I see where events went from 8,000 to 74,000, and the
What page are you looking at?
I'm at page 43. Support activities went from 72 to 8,000. But overall, last year we spent $438,622, and this year we're at $518,060.
Right, and the big increase is in the property and equipment. If you look, last year it was 14,275. This year we're at 73,500. Again, that was for equipment that we're going to purchase. One of them's a Christmas tree. I forgot the Christmas tree. That's the biggest item. It's about, what, 43,000? And then we're going to buy a stage and also some sound equipment that we use at the events on a regular basis rather than renting it for each one.
So the Christmas tree is $43,000?
It is a humdinger of a Christmas tree, I'm told.
And it has like a lifetime warranty of 10 years?
That's not lifetime, 10 years. Lifetime's forever. 10 years is,
Warranty, a 10-year warranty.
okay,
not
that
a
sounds better.
lifetime warranty. I thought it was an Audi phone, I'm sorry.
I'm just wondering if that is an expenditure that we're cash strapped right now. We don't have enough police
I'm gonna have to disagree
officers.
with you on that.
Okay, then we have enough money for additional police officers then?
I'm sorry?
We have enough money for additional police officers to keep our residents safe?
I'm sorry. I've got tinnitus, and I missed like the middle part of your statement.
Okay. You're stating that a Christmas tree at that price tag
Uh-huh.
is a great deal for the city of Socorro, correct?
To categorize it as a great deal is would not be my place to say.
Okay.
But
Well, what I'm worried about is we're spending all that money on a Christmas tree,
okay,
and our police department is understaffed, correct?
it is understaffed, but they have sufficient budget to be fully staffed.
Not for a city our size. They're
Well-
only fully staffed for what we have approved for them to be.
Okay.
But if you look at FBI statistics, a city our size should have way more police officers than we do. Because there's times when police officers are out and there's nobody patrolling our streets. but we'll have a really beautiful Christmas tree. This is the kind of thing that I just have a hard time going with.
Okay.
And just to kind of add, I mean, we do have 5 vacancies. It's very hard to fill those vacancies. We've never filled them. Only one day we were fully staffed, and then our officers leave, so we do have 5 vacancies. We are short-staffed. I think our general fund, when you add a position, you can't fund that year after year, right? But you have a very wealthy reserves where you can use one-time cost that's not gonna be reoccurring every year, like we are with rentals and for the events to happen.
I'm just trying to get the most bang for our buck.
Exactly.
Okay,
But what
I
I'm saying,
can't
if
see
we add
spending that,
officers-
excuse me, I can't see spending that kind of money when, you know, we wanna, are we gonna raise our taxes or lower them? If we're gonna lower them,
No, we're gonna leave them the same tax rate.
okay,
Yeah.
there's no option to lower taxes. If we lower taxes, I mean, the thing is, I have a hard time spending that kind of money for a Christmas tree. I think that money would be better spent on programs in the city rather than something we're gonna use once a year for 10 years, and then where's it gonna go? That's a lot of money for a Christmas tree,
It is,
okay? That's I mean, that's my thinking.
okay?
I think that, excuse me, I think that money would be better spent. I think we should leave that item out of the budget
Okay.
and use that money on other items that the city desperately needs, like equipment and personnel.
To be quite honest, we can do both.
Okay, well, you know, we're up here to be stewards of the tax money. And when I see something like that to me is just, it's a waste.
Well, you know, quality of life is probably a discussion for another time, and I understand exactly what you're saying, and I just want you to be aware what our general fund reserve is, which is on the second page of this handout, where it's the letter from the city manager detailing the fiscal year budget. On the last page, it's the third page, I'm sorry, I've got two. And the top of it says the general fund reserve. This is the general fund reserve started 2016-17 fiscal year with $4.8 million in it. The projected budget that's included in there uses $478,000 of that. The required reserve to have and maintain is $1.5 million. And during our budget discussions, we pretty much came up with the consensus that we want to double that reserve internally and leave it at about $3 million. But that still leaves us money to do some of the things that are in the budget, like the weed squad, increasing numbers for that, increasing the numbers for the vehicles as well for the police. You know, they're getting old. And coming up with programs to maybe lease and some other kind of out-of-the-box situations where we pay for the vehicle as a portion of the citations from that vehicle. And so we are looking at increasing where we're lacking. One of the words used during my tenure in coming to these meetings was that there was neglect. And there's no need for the neglect with the reserves that the city of Socorro has.
I also don't see, if we have a reserve, it is for something catastrophic happening where,
Right.
And then just because we have the money doesn't mean we should spend it. And I think,
Well, and that's
excuse me,
why.
let me finish, please.
Sure.
I think that we need to look at what we're spending on. To me, that's just me. I don't know how everybody else thinks, but that amount of money for a Christmas tree is wasteful.
Is wasteful, is that what you said?
That's what I'm saying, wasteful. That money could be better spent on other projects that the city needs, like your pothole crew. Pothole crew? Yeah, pothole crew. I
But we
mean,
need more alliteration if we're gonna use potholes, so, but,
and there's other problems that we have. We have people that flood all the time. We need to address those problems. I agree, that amount of money will not address it. But when the people of Socorro are telling me that they flood all the time, and then we spend that kind of money on a Christmas tree, that doesn't say that we're very responsible in spending their money. That's all I'm saying.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Yeah, I get it, Mr. Duran. I get it. When I came in, I was the same way. But, you know, we also have to tackle not only safety, not only our budget, we have to be fiscally responsible, but also we have to tackle quality of life. You know, you've been to our functions and you've seen what kind of trees we get, and yet every year that is an occurring expense.
The Charlie Brown tree?
Excuse me?
The Charlie Brown tree?
The Charlie Brown tree, of course. And what we're trying to do is that, since I've been here, it's been 4 years. So if we just make this purchase in 3, 4, 7 years, we don't have to make that purchase anymore, you know? One of the things is that you say that, oh, it could be better spent on the police officers. Of course, I've always said that, but we have 5 vacancies. We've never been except one day, and our city managers told you, one day we were fully stocked, and yet the next day what happened? We were missing people because they decided to leave. It's very difficult to put police officers out on our streets. You know, we can see it because we always have vacancies. What happens if we say, hey, we want 10 additional officers? Yes, we can put our money where our mouth is, but can we fill those vacancies? If we can't even fill 5? You know, I understand your concerns, because I understand as well, you know? But one of the things is that all I'm saying is we're trying to be as frugal as possible. You can see it where it shows you year after year for the last 4 years that we have been cutting the amount of money that we use from the reserves, because we've been frugal. We've been doing our jobs. We've been budgeting the best of our abilities. So there's nobody that can say that, oh, we're misspending money, because it shows, correct? In this documentation that we have decreased the use of our reserves. So if we want to go and we want to, look, the moral of the story is we are doing the best we can. We're not perfect, but if we continue to, you know, having a reoccurrence, then why not just eliminate it? Just spend one time, and we won't have to do it no more for the next 15 years. You know, it's the same thing with the police officers. We can look at the budget. Of course, there's money in there. I mean, we can add more positions, but if we can't fill them, you know, that's one of the things.
Mr. Perez?
I think that 73,000 may seem exorbitant, and it probably is.
40.
43.
43, excuse me. I don't know why I saw 73. Oh, 43. But it's just a budget number at this point. It's not set in stone. Victor or Mr. Reta can come back with a better priced tree. It just, right now, it's just something that is to me is just a placeholder. I don't know if we're gonna have a tree that's 43,000. It may be less. I mean, I would want it to be less. But again, I think that we need to strike a balance, and I understand what you're saying. I mean, I completely agree with you that we have a fiduciary responsibility to our constituents. I totally get that. But by the same token, we have to balance out the fiduciary responsibility with the fact that we have to provide quality of life. And we've heard it before. There's nothing to do in support. You know, and so those are the kinds of things that we're having to deal with. And so at this point, I think that when we get to that bridge, in terms of discussing amounts of money, I think that I would hope that we would be pleasantly surprised and not do the full expenditure. That's it.
Mr. Rivera?
I think also for a lot of these quality of life problems or issues, there's corporate sponsors that would love to have their name plastered all over that Christmas tree. You know, tree was donated by Walmart. This tree was, you know, by Walgreens. I think we need to go after those kind of corporate sponsors for a lot of these quality of life issues. And I think that would, it'd be great for them for advertising and great for the city because we're going to save $43,000. And I think everybody out there that is a constituent would agree with me that saving money is way better than wasting it. And if we spend money cautiously, it's their money, it's not ours. Constituents' money. We have to look at what we're spending on. I think they would rather have an extra crew out there fixing potholes than having a Christmas tree at Christmas time. Okay, maybe we did have a Charlie Brown Christmas tree. But that's beside the point. If we go out and look for sponsors, I think that they will be more than happy to donate a tree to the city of Socorro.
Mr. Rodriguez?
And that's why we cut the budget for Mr. Reta's events, because he has been doing that, and he has been getting sponsors. So, I mean, that's something that is going to continue to do. And, you know, you can sit down with Ms. Rodarte, our city manager, and hash all of that. We have been doing our due diligence. Our directors have been doing that, and they will continue to do it, and there's no reason to stop. And one day, hopefully we'll get enough sponsors that we don't have to put it in our budget. But you know what? We went from a big budget to a small budget, and we're going to continue that as long as our directors keep doing what they're doing. And like I said, you know, it's just a one-time purchase that's going to alleviate, you know, a lot of headaches, and that's it.
Well, I beg to differ with you. I don't think you've cut his budget. According to this, you raised his budget from 438,622 to 518,60. How is that cutting?
Oh, we did.
Well, numbers don't lie.
We did. Ms. Rodarte, what was Mr. Reta's when we cut it like 2 years ago? It wasn't it at 100 and something?
2 years ago, it was $258,888. If you look on page 43, adopted budget for 2014-15,
What page?
43. And then in 2014 and 15, in 2015 and 16, it went up to 344,000. And this year, you want to boost it up to 518,000. So how is that reducing it?
But that's all his operations. That's not just for...
That's everything, yes.
Yeah, but you're including, it's not all of that goes into his events. His events are right here.
No,
At
I
74,000.
understand. You're telling me that you cut his budget, but according to the papers that I'm reading, his budget got increased, total expenses.
Yeah, we're,
Well, and the reason that we're not seeing is because, remember that the events belong to parks.
Mm-hmm.
Parks used to take care of the events. So that was switched to recreations because we cut that position. There is no park supervisor. We combined them with public works, and then we made recreation standalone. So you're not seeing the history of the events because that used to be parks on a different line item.
I'm still seeing increases everywhere. On salaries, 2015-16, 160, 285. This year, 173, 784.
The salary increases?
Yes, and on item number 5101.
Correct, because his job description was amended, because a lot more duties were added to him. He's not only the recreations director, he's the public information officer, and the historical preservation officer.
So
there
in
was
other
a lot
words,
more.
When he gave up the position of Parks and Recreation, so now when he does work for the other two jobs, does he take away from his job at recreation?
We're enhancing what his capabilities are, so he can wear 3 different hats at the price of 1, as opposed to hiring 3 different individuals that we used to have.
So he's doing 3 jobs.
He's doing the historical land commission, preservation officer. He's doing the PIO, which all the Facebook event, and then your events, and still recreations. So
Okay.
he is
I'm
wearing,
just saying, because if I work 40 hours a week at one job,
we
and
don't work
then-
40 hours a week, sir. We work
Okay.
more than that.
okay, I'm just giving you an example. If I work 60 hours a week at one job, and that job is funded, and then I take on another job, I'm not going to work 80 hours a week. I'm going to work at the same 60. You see what I'm getting at?
But you're maximizing, he's able to do the 3 jobs without 3 different people doing it, and he does it very well.
Of course, because
all
of the
three-
fact that he
for all
takes
3.
away from one job to do the other 2.
But he performs well in all.
Well, we'll get to that later, because I'm not going to get into arguing about that. We will be able to address that later, correct?
I believe so, yes.
Okay.
Ms. Villalobos?
Mr. Duran, one of the things that I heard when I first started as councilwoman was archery. You know, people were laughing at archery. I'm with you 100%. Thank you. But I also believe when this tree will be used when we have our historical venue there, when they come out and start remodeling, we'll have our tree already. And it would look great. It really would look great. Me as a constituent, I'm very happy. I understand about the budget completely, 100%. I'm with you. I really am. But I was really excited about the tree. I think it brings happy and joy. Let's not forget that. I'm sorry.
They can't hear you.
I'm sorry. It brings joy, it brings happiness to our event. Yeah, a lot of people just kind of looked at our tree and said it was pretty sad. It was, you know, I just wanted to throw that out there. I agree with you 100% though. Thank you.
We can tackle that later.
Yes, sir.
Well, I have a question. This is the time to change stuff, right?
Yes.
Okay, so we don't have really time to bring it, because next week, Jim, we should already,
I mean, it's always better to do it sooner rather than later. You can, until the budget's finally adopted, yes, you can still make changes, but if it's the later you wait, the longer you wait, the harder it is.
so in other words, if Mr. Duran wants to change it right now, we can make a motion, or, and that's if council decides to. Okay. So if you want to change it now, and see how it goes.
Okay. I'll make a motion that we not eliminate the tree, but try to find a lower priced one. Is that a proper, Jim?
We can have to set an amount.
Yeah, that's actually, that would be a change to the budget.
Okay.
Change, if you want to propose a change, you actually need to reduce that line item. Or the line item that item, that tree falls into.
Okay. I'm sure that there are cheaper trees out there. We don't have to have a Rolls Royce when we only have a budget for a Chevy. I don't know how anybody else feels. I think I know everybody out there is like, yeah, no. We want to save money. But I know that once you're on council, money doesn't, you know, it's like, but it's our money. Everybody out there pays taxes that lives in Socorro. And I'm sure you'd like to see better equipment, better everything. The Christmas tree's out there for a month. The potholes are there every day of the year. I'm just wondering if we can find a cheaper tree that we'll have for 10 years, lifetime, and, you know, save the city a little bit of money that we can use elsewhere. That's all I'm saying.
So you would like to reduce the line item 58
Well, we have to take it to a vote.
For how much? Well, he wants to make the motion, so
Mhm.
how much would you wanna reduce that line item?
I think we can get away with half price. I think that's something that,
Do you wanna reduce it to 43,000?
yeah, okay.
Could we have
Well, we don't-
Mr. Rieta speak? He did research the trees.
Mr. Rata?
Mr.
Is he ready for that? Well, we have to make a motion first, though.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We did present our wish list to Council previously. We did ask for a 43-foot tree. However, that's not the only option. We can always go cheaper, that's not a problem. And that's not always to say that that's our final price. Right now, we are at a good season to buy early, so there's always cheaper trees. That was just something we were looking at because it came fully furnished with ornaments, lights, decking. We had no other expense to do. It included shipping and handling, and it was just one price off of the buy board. The buy board is something we utilize through Region 19, which gives us the lowest price by the state of Texas. However, we can always go cheaper. There's not just one vendor in the United States. We can go through other vendors. That's not a problem. I've worked with Charlie to make sure that we follow the procurement policy, which means the purchase would have to go before council. So it's not something that we would do without council approval. Because of the price of the tree, it would still have to come before you for a ruling. I don't know if that answered your questions.
I think we're looking for if there's a cheaper tree.
There's a cheaper tree. We can get shorter trees. We can get different trees. This tree is an industrial tree made out of steel. It's easy to set up, easy to tear down, easy to store, but we can get cheaper trees. Last year, what we did get was a $200 tree that was done by the Boy Scouts for us. The way that it's done in the past is we have an organization that sponsors a tree and goes out there and cuts it for us to have a real taller tree than 12 feet. Last year's tree was 16 feet, and we paid $200 for the Charlie Brown tree. But we can always come back and provide different options. As far as our budget, it was cut when I first started. Like Ms. Rodarte said, it did go to parks. It stayed in parks until my second year with the city. As far as the support activities and events, we had originally wished for the separation for our two. However, they mixed it up and we had inverted numbers. So this year was the first year that we were able to clear that up. From my operational budget, we did get grants for the vehicles that we have. So that's why some of our property and equipment went up, and we had the matching portion of that grant. But I'm willing to work with council the way that they wish. I've always done so. I lead by your ruling. I can give you guys examples of trees. I can give you different prices, different types, pictures. We can have the vendors speak to you guys if you want more information. But we can always work with the budget we have. That's what we've done historically since I've been employed with you guys.
I don't know if that answered my question. Do we have to, we don't have to approve that item, do we,
I'm sorry?
in the budget?
That item?
Yeah.
Reduce it by 73,000, and then we put zero in that item. You can't just exclude an item.
No,
and then
I
just
understand.
reduce it.
And then later on, we can vote on what we want? I think that's what he told us.
No, you have to give a price, like how much are you planning on spending on a tree? What would be reasonable for you?
The microphone.
What would be reasonable for you? What would you want the city to
Don't
spend?
get me wrong, I'm not bah humbug. But I do think that we have a lot of more needs than a Christmas tree.
So you can just deduct the 43,000 and we can continue with a $200 tree?
Maybe
If
not
that-
a
if that's what
200.
you wish?
Maybe a $5,000 tree, one that can be reused. Are there any like that?
I can go ahead and do research and come back to council with different prices and examples, specifically for the Christmas tree, if you so wish.
Because I do believe in quality of life,
Mhm.
but I do also believe that we need to be responsible with the money that we have.
I understand.
And I mean, Socorro's, it's not a rich community. And to me, a $43,000 tree just is like for a rich community. That's it.
So just reduce the budget by
We have to vote for
35,000?
it.
Well, but you have to make the motion for
Okay.
him to reduce 35,000, since he's wanting only a $5,000 tree. Right,
Well,
there's
I just-
three.
I didn't say that. I said, we need to research what we can get for a little bit better,
Okay.
not a, you know, we need to drive a Cadillac instead of a Rolls Royce, because we're a small city.
If we leave it the way it is and just leave it the way it is and come back, but with the condition that you're gonna come back with, a new list of trees coming from that, can that be done?
The purchase would still have to follow the procurement policy, which require it to go before council.
So we wouldn't have to change the process.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
If he comes back and he says, we got a $20,000 tree that can fit the bill. But, you know, your car analogy is good, but, you know, but the most cost-effective car is a bed. It's just we can't afford it. It'll last forever.
I have a Dodge truck and it's got 300,000 miles on it.
That's a very
So don't
cost-effective.
tell me about a Bentley. Anyway, moving on, that's regardless.
You know, the cheapest is not necessarily the most cost-effective.
Mr. Perez?
I guess that my suggestion would be reduce it by 21 to 21.5, half of the budget, and then see what pans out.
Very good. Make the motion.
Motion to reduce that specific line item for 43,000 to 21.5.
Second.
Can we? Before we,
Here's the problem. You've already introduced an ordinance, so, yeah, you've already,
Okay, let's just leave it as is. And he'll go out and give us next week the,
And then he'll come back with
yeah,
prices.
that's it. We don't mess with it.
yeah, for that item,
Yeah.
you've already introduced an ordinance adopting the budget. So if you wanted to change that, and you still can't, you can do that next time. But you, to do what you're talking, that would not be an appropriate, what you just decided would not be an appropriate motion for this particular item. This one isn't even an action item. It says presentation and discussion.
okay, so I'll retract my motion.
Yes, that's it. So just, look, just leave it like that. Mr. Reta has always been good, brings us whatever we need, and that's it. And you want it.
Okay.
Okay.
Do we have any speakers?
That doesn't even have to be voted on, does it?
I'm sorry?
Nope, okay.
Thank you, Mr. Reta.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr.
No, well, there was no
there's
more
no motion.
motion. I have retracted.
I was gonna call you Charlie, sir.
Item number 34, discussion and action to announce the date on which City Council will take final action on the tax rate and on the municipal budget.
Jim, what day would that be?
The date of the next, it's the last meeting in the schedule that council previously.
Or which is the two?
Yeah, we missed some meetings in the interim, but
Yes.
the last one, the last date still holds, September 14th.
Which is next week.
Yes, okay, so that's
To
what
adopt.
it says. Okay.
Yeah, but just one little FYI, the deadline to adopt the budget is the 15th, and so we're hoping for a quorum on the 14th.
Is 34 Park another?
Behind another.
34, do you have the,
Well, Jim, can we
There's
just
no
say,
backup, there's no backup for 34?
motion to approve, the date on which, city
That's what they're
council,
looking for. No, okay.
Yeah, but I think you need to announce, that motion needs to include the date.
right, which I said, motion to approve, to announce the date on which city council will take, final action, tax rate, and municipal budget on September 14th, 2017. That's my motion.
Can I discuss? Can I ask for
But you have to make a
Oh.
motion.
I didn't hear it, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, it's just to approve on the 14th, which is next week.
Second. Yes, ma'am.
And then you can ask.
Ms. Villalobos? On that tax rate, if I was looking at the, Mr. Olarte, I think because you put it on the agenda, we are increasing $46 per 100 Is that correct? Or not we, but we are adopting,
No, you're adopting the same tax rate that you had last year, so there is no increase in taxes.
okay. That was my question.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Motion is made. Do we have? Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Item number 35, discussion and action regarding approval of interlocal agreement between the City of El Paso and the City of Socorro, Texas for animal services.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
And this is just the correction to the El Paso County Sheriffs doing the animal control enforcement and not the City of El Paso. They've done away with that, and we've already signed an interlocal agreement with the Sheriff's Department.
So we,
So the City of El Paso is just amending their agreement to state that.
Ms. Villalobos?
do I need to make a motion first?
No, already
Okay.
did it.
All right.
You're the second.
So my question is, we had the city taking care of the animal control here in Socorro, and now we have the county?
No, the City of El Paso. We used to pay the City of El Paso to do our animal control services. Now, we have, the City of El Paso is sheltering the animals. The Sheriff's Department is doing the control, the animal control.
And it was
Picking
like
up.
that before?
No, it used to be El Paso that used to do all of it.
And this started when? Más o
We,
menos.
council approved it maybe
Okay.
on June 1st.
That's what was confusing me, because I recently, saw, or I had to flag down, the county and for some, dogs that were loose at a school. So, and it confused me because I'm thinking, well, the county was already there. Okay, got it, thank you.
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Item number 36, discussion and action to file a formal complaint regarding District 4 representatives' allegations against city manager and to discuss several concerns city manager has regarding District 4 representatives' behavior and actions that raise potential liabilities.
Make a motion for discussion.
Second.
Yeah, you need to.
Oh, okay. I make a motion for discussion to file a formal complaint regarding District 4 representatives' allegations against city manager and to discuss several concerns city manager has regarding District 4 representatives' behavior and actions that raise potential liabilities.
Procedurally, I don't think you have a motion to discuss, you need a motion to take a substantive action. And this is a particularly difficult item because I don't think the substantive actions, the available substantive actions are obvious. I'm not sure you could approve it, I think you could accept the complaint. You could move to hire an investigator. You could move to conduct an investigation yourself. You could move to refer the complaint to the Ethics Review Commission. You could move to order staff to conduct an investigation, which probably has to do. You could move to censure the person who's the object of the complaint. I mean, you got a number of options. And I have no assumptions about which one council wishes to do. I'm just saying, I would use one of those as a vehicle to get discussion.
Okay.
Before we tackle this one, we should just take a quick figure before we come out. Before we come out.
Probably big guys. Yeah.
I'll make a motion to move this item to executive to get some advice from our legal,
Consult with your attorneys.
with your attorneys.
Yeah, I think you can do that. Let me also suggest that if we're gonna go to executive session, you should probably also invoke, hold on, section, the motion should say, I would recommend the motion say, move to adjourn this to executive session to consult with your attorneys and to deliberate a personnel matter pursuant to 551.074 local government.
I concur. Someone,
You can't say that.
oh, well, what, I'll take the attorney's advice. Yeah, and we'll move to executive.
Second. Or was there already a second?
Yeah, no. Aye.
Yes.
Yes, aye.
Yes.
Item number 37, discussion and action to have a mayor and council chili cook-off at our Harvest Festival, September 23rd, 2017.
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
Just quick question, so then, are we going to prepare a version of chili? Good luck.
Mr. Duran?
The reason I suggested this to our city manager is, number one, I think it will be good that the community gets to know us. I mean, if we make, each of us make a pot of chili, have some people judge it, and we auction off the winning one, all proceeds can go to purchasing Thanksgiving dinners for the elderly and the poor in our community. It'll have a twofold effect. Number one, the community will get to know us, number one. Number two, I think it'll build some camaraderie between us, or some, I mean, I just look at Mr. Renee, and I can tell he's not missed any meals. I'm sure he makes some very good chili. Mr. Pettis looks like he's the mad scientist with all these ingredients.
I think we should auction off a bottle of Tums, actually.
Well, actually, we'll try to get Walgreens to donate Tums. And I know Ms. Villalobos' husband, and he doesn't look like he's missed a meal either. And I'm sure that our mayor her microwave will work out very, very fast.
We'll purchase.
Well, yeah, it'll be well worked. But anyway, that's the only reason that I brought this up, just to raise a little bit of money for our elderly and our poor, and to get us to get to know each other a little bit better. Second the motion.
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Item number 40, discussion and action to direct staff and city attorney to review and amend Municipal Section 46 to 639 to address large animal ordinance.
I'll make a motion to postpone until our representative one comes to council and then gives her side of the story, I guess.
Second.
I need to identify, because we have to prepare the agenda before
Oh, yeah,
we know whether she's here.
Ms. Maria Reyes, District Number One.
Specify the meeting, the date.
Oh, for September 14th.
At your special, or September 21st at your regular?
You know what, do it on our 21st, just in case. For
Miss-
September 21st.
Ms. Villalobos?
Well, I had questions. Can I still ask?
Well, you're gonna ask them when she gets here. I mean, so let's just postpone it, and then we'll ask until she gets here, and then she can answer the
She
question. Because she's the only one, that's her agenda.
Well, I don't.
So I
think-
would not want to take action on something that she presented.
I just have a question. Unicide?
That's
Typo.
a typo error.
Okay, all right, so
Right,
I was
yeah,
like, I have never seen this word before. Are we killing codes or what? Unicide? So it's, what is it?
Unicode.
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 Thank you. I just needed the clarification.
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Item number 41, discussion and action to adopt a city council policy to require a council member to reimburse the city of Socorro for the cost of security provided during city elections, including the cost for sheriff's deputies, where that security is made necessary by the actions of the council members.
I would like to make a motion to move this item to executive to speak to and get, talk to our attorney for legal consultation.
Second.
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Make a motion to go to executive?
Second.
I would, I wasn't, I don't recall frankly the specific language that, of the motion that's used for 36, but because it's a little unorthodox, I would suggest that motion include to also discuss in executive session items 36 and 41 for, based on the exemptions that we decided earlier.
As our attorney stated.
Second.
With the attorney
Yeah, where do you
decided.
have, second? Yes. Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
8:56, at this time, we move to executive session.
We did.
To move to executive?
Oh, that's
Okay,
correct.
A
okay.
motion to move to executive.
Second.
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
8:56, at this time, we will be moving to executive session.